Sports.
Enjoy the silence.
Von Allen Sports.
This is the man with the most badass name in sports, the Pharaoh, the Egyptian god himself, Amon-Ra St. Brown. And on behalf of my man Von Allen, we want to thank you for your support. Let's fucking go.
Von Allen Sports.
What's up, guys? How you doing? So let me tell you something. When you have a cat, okay? Especially a smart cat. The smarter they are, the more trouble they're going to cause. So if you ever have a cat, maybe your cat is dumb and that might be a good thing for you. But a smart cat is very, very annoying. So the little one, the new one I showed you guys, I'm sitting there. So Milena made some French toast, this awesome French toast, right? She brings it to me. I'm on my computer. I'm looking up stats. I'm like, getting ready for the show and everything. And just looking at normal stuff like I normally do. And I'm eating, and normally I let her have some of my food, so she'll sniff it, and she'll, try to take a little bit, and it's fine. I'll let her do that. Oh, guess what? So, yeah, this time she took the whole bottom French toast, grabbed it with her mouth, and ran with it across my keyboard, across my computer, everything, getting syrup everywhere. And when she pulled the bottom one, it pulled the top one too. So everything went. Yeah, that was fun. So I come in here, and now I've got like ants trying to get in. So I've got to fight that. So yeah, sometimes the smart ones are the most annoying. Alrighty, so another Thursday. Yeah, we got a game. We got the Cowboys Giants. But there's some other things going on in the NFL world and things like that. So some things I'd actually like to point out, and some things that happened last week as well. But first, just to get started, like I traditionally do, I always greet the people who are here first. So John Thomas Chavez, thank you for being here. Papa Capia, what's up? Alpha Courage, of course. Jaeger Thorn says, ever been in a Turkish prison? Let's see here. Okay, not very many people in the chat apparently. Okay. Could you guys please hit the like button? Trump is 3-0 in surviving assassination attempts. 3-0. Are you counting the plane incident, or is there something going on that I'm not aware of? Okay. So no jokes, but today's my birthday, or tomorrow's my birthday. But I'm getting old. I'm gonna be 44. Can you believe that? That's weird. I remember when I was in high school and my dad was, I don't know, he was like that age or something. And I started calling him Mr. Old Man. And I thought he was just, the oldest person of all time, right? Perspective is a funny thing. So to him, he probably felt the way I feel now, which is I'm not old. I feel fine. I feel normal. And I really do. I don't feel any different than I did when I turned 20 or 30. Like there's like, okay, whatever. But that's how it goes. In fact, if I shave, you couldn't tell I was 44. The only thing that gives me away is I have a little bit of white coming through here. So, but I actually like it, unlike other people. So, actually, I think I'd look pretty cool with gray hair. But I don't have that, so I don't have any of that yet. Israel's 25. Yeah, you're getting old, buddy. Tharn is 29. Alpha Courage has got me. He'll be 47 in November. I kind of knew that, though. I think we talked about it before. So I don't know about you guys, but it's how do you guys feel? How do you guys feel about the NFL right now? How are you? Doesn't something seem strange? Something seems a little weird, right? I can't quite put my finger on it. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe Papacopia. Maybe it is that. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's a WWE vibe. I just again, it's not the players. The players are just doing their thing, but everything seems so corporate and so like overly so. Like there's always been like, beer advertising and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking everything is ran like Disney or something. It seems like the people that work at the NFL headquarters now are people who are more comfortable in a, working at on the board of Disney or Coca-Cola or something like that. That's what it feels like. It's very strange. It's kind of like when Apple, moved off Steve Jobs and then they went with that Pepsi guy, and then the whole brand had to be saved. It doesn't feel like football people are making any decisions for football. And think about it. All of the owners, almost all of them, never played football. Most of them are not even athletes. They're usually dorks who never even played as a kid or anything. They don't know anything about the sport. And that's been generally the situation for several decades now, okay? It wasn't always that way, though. Early years of, up until like even to the early 2000s, mid 2000s, a lot of the owners were either guys who owned the team from back in the old days, and they were either a coach or a GM or something, and they inherited the team, or their son inherited the team who also grew up through those situations. But now most teams are owned by new money. And what I mean by new money is owners who made it through different avenues of business that have become, prevalent in like the last 40 years or so. And they're just disconnected to all that. So we've got that issue, but at the very least, it was the NFL headquarters itself was ran by football people. There was always football people in the building. Roger Goodell is a politician. Okay, he literally is a politician and a CEO but he's running a football league, meaning that football itself is not going to be priority for him. And now he has more power than he's ever had. He has more control than he ever had. The owners have completely like given him carte blanche on everything. And before COVID, before all the COVID crap, there were a lot of owners who would push back against Roger Goodell. Now they're all in lockstep. They're all right next to each other. And there's virtually no pushback. Roger Goodell should have been fired so many times, it's not even funny. But he did some good things that at first that were good for the NFL product, like the fantasy football thing. Fantasy football made NFL more popular than it had ever been. That's fine. But now we're in this world of marketing to women. We're trying to market to people who are not the normal football watcher, okay? We're trying to reach out internationally, which is bizarre to me. I don't understand the point or the need for it. Too many cooks in the kitchen, too many opinions in the fire now. You start marketing to women, you've got to start hiring female executives to go from that viewpoint, right? And then you're starting to think in no sense. And then at the end of the day, you're leaving the office and the board is leaving and they're like, did we do anything for the game? No. It's all about marketing and things like that. So COVID was a real problem because it showed the NFL what they could get away with. Okay? Because during COVID, you also had the George Floyd thing. So they jumped on that bandwagon, they painted like stop racism or whatever the hell that they wrote, whatever they wrote in the thing. And then they wore on their little stupid helmets like little slogans. All of this for a career criminal, a felon. Yeah. So they got around that and they got behind that. And that was a huge red flag. It was like, whoa, wait a minute. That means they're really focusing on what the players think. So just because your players are upset, okay, so what does that have to do with anything? It's not football related, so who cares? It's just all these decisions, and now they're worried about optics with women. And you got the Taylor Swift element, and now that is a huge deal. That they have made a crap ton of money. They've been trying to market to women for years now. You guys have seen it. It's been going on. Roger Goodell's entire tenure has been trying to market to women. Now, to a certain extent, there's nothing wrong with that. But you can't do it in the sense of alienating the normal fan base, which honestly is 75% right wing, okay? Average dude, okay, who just wants to come home from work, turn on Monday Night Football, have a beer, and watch a game without being told how racist he is, without being told that he's a sexist and he's probably a wife abuser even though he's not, or all these stupid TV commercials about how bad he is. That's where we are now. And they've lost all focus on football. So to get to my point, I know this is a kind of a long trip towards the point I'm trying to make, but when you do all these things, you start making decisions that affect the actual on-field product. So you think, okay, we want to market to women. Maybe the game is too violent. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to pull back a little bit. Okay? We don't need all these Swifties, for example, seeing a lot of these head trauma injuries and things like that. So maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should alter the things. Maybe we should alter kickoffs, or maybe we should alter, how we touch quarterbacks, or whatever. Okay, I'm just giving out general ideas, but that starts to be your thinking process, and then you begin to think, if we can water the game down. You're not trying to water the game down, but that's actually what they're doing. But it's not on their mind. But they're thinking, if we can wiggle the game enough, when can we usher in the first female NFL player? That is one of the biggest priorities of this league right now. If you think I'm kidding, or if you think I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but I'm not. This is a fact. This is an absolute fact. And I made my prediction 2 years ago. I said, by 2030, a biological female will be signed to a roster at some point. I ain't saying that whether she plays in a real game or if she's only signed for a day just for PR, but it will happen. It will happen. And I said that 2 years ago. I thought 2030 maybe was a long enough time frame. It may be shorter than that. It actually may happen within 5 years. So it could happen in 2027, 2028, something like that. But 2030 is my comfortable, time frame here. So I'm sorry, I meant 5. It could have happened within 5 years of when I said it. So it could happen between 2022 and 2027. So what is this, a fumble? They calling that a fumble? Let me see the replay here. It's incomplete. So, I just noticed something. I didn't have my proper lights on. Okay. So, yeah, so that's how these decisions end up affecting the game. And it's a little bit at a time, okay? It's like the whole, the old frog in the pot that you just slowly warm it up more and more and more. And then before you know it, you're boiling to death. And, that's kind of what the NFL is tweaking things just a little bit each time. And it's getting closer and closer to being just unwatchable garbage. So I don't know, honestly. I mean, there are things that can be done, but they won't happen. Okay. So things that would fix the game and the on-field product. So again, in the name of making the game safer, they're trying to avoid stupid lawsuits that they should have not even paid attention to begin with. As far as week to week, that's what the contracts are for, right? When you're playing football, you know what you're getting into. Okay. Don't sign $1 million deal with an NFL team and then you go and you get the crap knocked out of you on the field and then you sue the team. Yeah. Sorry. No, you knew that. Okay. That's about as dumb as a soldier being sent to war and getting shot. And then he comes home and then he sues the military. Okay. Well, no. What did you think you were doing? But they're all about PR or whatever. So that's the deal. That's what's going on here. The league itself has changed rules, how they do things. And I'm not just talking about, I'm not even specifically talking about rules of the game itself. I'm talking about rules within the league. So how would they fix it? You bring back practicing, okay? You got to go back You got to go back to like pre-2012 collective bargaining agreement. You've got to go back to the practices that were back then, where a coach could put you in pads and all that. You could do all these 2-a-days if needed, whatever the coach felt is appropriate. Okay, so you could do that. You've got to be able to start doing that. Preseason, you've got to get rid of the 17th game. Okay, the 17th game is stupid. It serves no purpose other than just making the product worse. So you take away the 17th game, you bring back the preseason, 4 preseason games. You go back to that. You get rid of the 8th or the 7th seed, the 7th playoff seed. It's no. Okay, the playoffs are a reward for excellence. Okay? It's for excellence during the regular season. The whole point of the regular season is it's a marathon. Okay? And then the playoffs is your reward. With the 7th seed, idiots are getting in. These teams that don't deserve to be there are getting in. So you gotta make it more important. How you get the best teams in there, this is how you do it. You take away the automatic home field advantage for winning your division. Home field advantage will be decided based off of record only. Okay? That's it. And then usual tiebreakers that you would use to break that. So 2 teams have got the same record, you base it off of division if you want, or conference and so on. But just because you win your crap division, let's say you're winning the AFC South, okay? Well, whoop-de-doo, all right? And you get in and you're, a 6-11 team and you get in the playoffs. Sorry, but you're not getting a home playoff game. It's not happening. You're going to be the 7th seed. Well, if it was now, but I would rather have it. You'd be the 6th seed. So you get a playoff spot for winning your division, okay? Although we call that winning. We'll use that term very loosely. But yeah. That's got to be over with, We've got to put merit back into the game. When merit is involved, when your contract is not based on what the market will pay, but what you've done, okay? Everything will change. Everything will change. Guys are getting paid based off of a market number now. And again, all of this stuff comes from the collective bargaining agreement. And you say, well, why did the owners agree to it then? Well, the owners agreed to it because they got even more concessions. Okay? They got bigger cuts and big different pieces of the pie, different pieces of the marketing pie. So it was all centered around money. And of course, let's not pretend that the money part's not important. This is a capitalistic country. This is a league that needs to make money. But my point here is that you can go and you can change things to a point to where it's so much where you're making money, but now you're hurting the product. And in the long run, you're actually going to lose money. You're going to lose money on the back end when this product gets so bad that nobody wants to watch it. And then when ESPN wants to renew another 10-year deal for X billions of numbers of dollars, all of a sudden they're offering 50% of what they were offering before. And then another 10 years go by, now they're offering 20% of what it was, or 70, 80% of less of what it was before. And then you keep compounding it, and the next thing you know, nobody cares anymore. If you don't think that's possible, ask baseball how they're doing. Okay? Ask the NHL, the NHL craze was never stronger than the 90s. The NHL was at its height in the 90s. It was just such a great game. Such a great game. And then they decided that they weren't going to issue a Stanley Cup. I think it was, in 03 or 04? Don't quote me on that, but I think it's somewhere around there. Yeah, it had to be 03 or 04, I think. But they had a season where there were no Stanley Cups. No Stanley Cup issued. Once you did that, you said, well, not even basically, you specifically said that this game doesn't matter anymore. So that's what they did. The NFL is not untouchable. It's not something that can't be taken down. And they're acting like they are. And that's what's concerning. Everything is so processed the way it's done, the way the NFL makes decisions. It's very weird. Now they've embraced gambling. They've embraced, all this, the fans, FanDuel or whatever, and all that junk. I don't do any of that, but they've embraced all that, and they put a fucking, I'm sorry, excuse me. They put it's the first time I've actually said the F word in a long time. Wow. They put a freaking NFL team in Las Vegas. In Vegas. The one place you're not supposed to. That was always the deal. Okay? Now NFL is a corporate sport. It's about getting those skyboxes and celebrities showing up and all this stuff. That used to only be reserved for the Super Bowl. Now it's every week. Now it's all about corporate stuff. So again, some of that is good. Okay? All of that is bad. And the actual fans, people like us who watch this and who would buy the jerseys and who buy the, and spend the money on the NFL Sunday Ticket TV programs and all that stuff. They're being constantly ridiculed and judged and just scolded on every TV commercial, every time they do something. It's really, really bizarre. And I think all of this and this is the result of that. And I think it's increased. It's increased greatly. It's weird. Also, you have no superstars. You have Mahomes. But I'll be honest with you. If Mahomes was around and just even the early 2010s, he'd be average. And the game it's just a strange, and what I mean by average is I'm not doubting his playing ability. I'm saying that his stardom would be average. Let me make that clear. His popularity is very weak, okay? If you consider that he is the face of the league right now, he is the only person in the league right now. He is the only superstar. Patrick Mahomes is the only superstar in the league. And nobody knows him unless you know football. Okay? But I tell you what, man, 15 years ago, I could have mentioned, you know who Tom Brady is to anybody. Oh, yeah, he's quarterback. You know who Peyton Manning is? Oh, of course. You know who Brett Favre is? Oh, of course. I'm not stupid. You can try that with Mahomes. Who? And with these guys back then, there were other quarterbacks in the league that were competing for the stardom, for the publicity, and for the push. Mahomes has been in every stupid commercial you can imagine, and yet people still don't know who this man is. And that's the best they've got. And these guys, these quarterbacks, they play from week to week, and they're supposed to be stars like Dak Prescott here. He's getting paid more money than every Hall of Fame quarterback right now could have made in their whole career. And look how average this guy is. Look how average. It's pathetic. Look, he didn't even understand what was coming on that sack just now. As I was talking, I'm sitting there, dude, what are you doing? He didn't even see the defense. He didn't even know that was coming. How? How can you be paid so much money and not know that? He's the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys and nobody cares. Nobody cares. It's really, really weird. I don't know. I am just really concerned about the future of this game. I love football. It's my favorite sport. It always has been. It's what I know. I know everything about it. I know other sports, but I don't know any sport the way I know this sport. And the history of it and everything, and I'm so passionate about it. So trust me, I wish I could sit up here and be fake. Maybe I should. Maybe I should have. Maybe I should be like these other podcasts and think, okay, well, I got to grow my channel, so I guess I'll just keep, pretending like I'm excited and all this, but I don't know. The season seems so long ahead of us. It's like these games don't mean anything. Oh, you're 1-2. You lose tonight, you're going to be 1-3. Oh, who cares? You got 17 games, and even if you suck, you're probably going to get in because there's that seventh option. It's like, where's the urgency? Where's the intensity? I mean, how you started. It used to be how you started. And I'm not talking about this whole get off my lawn back in my day. Dude, I'm talking just 4 years ago. I'm talking just 4 or 5 years ago. This isn't some kind of like old history lesson where back in my day they could do this and they could do that and, get off my lawn. That kind of, that's not what this is. I'm literally talking just 4 or 5 years ago that the sport looked completely different than this. Completely. And I'm not just picking on Mahomes and people like that. Remember the AFC Championship game in 2018? Patriots Chiefs? I never seen officiating so pathetic in my life. That both sides. Like when I think I can't remember who the Chiefs player was. Touched Tom's helmet with his hand. And that was a pass interference. Or, no, I'm sorry, roughing the quarterback. Roughing the passer. Unbelievable. In an AFC Championship game, you call that. Or you let Gronkowski get raped by every member of the Chiefs team and you don't call a thing. But Travis Kelce got touched, and it's pass interference. Very weird, right? So this stuff was creeping. It was coming. It wasn't so bad, but it was showing its ugly head. 2017 Super Bowl, Eagles Patriots. I have probably an uncommon or an unpopular view of that, which is this. Lack of consistency. So, in a common sense world, did the Eagles score a touchdown? I think they did. Okay, in the common sense world. But, based off of the Pittsburgh game against New England, when we won because they said that Jesse James did not get the ball in, they called that not a catch. How can you in the same season go from that not being a catch to it being a catch in the Super Bowl to benefit the Eagles. You see what I mean? That's weird, right? So you can't do that. It's weird. You've got to be consistent all the way through. What you're going to call in week 1 has to be called in the Super Bowl. What you're going to call in the Super Bowl has to be called in week 1. That's the whole point of your officiating. How does the Chiefs have 3 Super Bowl victories and not one holding call? Have you wondered that? They're one of the most egregious holders. That's like they're known for this. It's like their thing. Okay? I mean, when you think of the Saints from the 2010s, you think cheap shots, big hits, stuff like that, right? When you think of the Chiefs, you think they hold a lot. These are issues. These are issues that have been creeping into the system a long time. Rams versus Bengals. How many chances did they give Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp to get into the end zone? What was it, like 37 times? 37 chances? Yeah. This is the NFL, buddy. They're going to get in eventually. You keep giving them enough tries, they're going to get in eventually. No defense can stop that forever. Handed the Rams the Super Bowl right there on a silver platter. The next year, Chiefs Eagles. No? Defensive backs are all over the receivers. No calls. Receivers are pushing back on the defensive backs. No calls. We're good. Everything's good. Let them play football. That's what they say. Let them play football. Let them play football. It's okay. Let them. It's football. Yeah. All the way until the fourth quarter when the Chiefs need it. Boom. There you go. Flag on a ticky-tack bother. Ugh. A thing that made it to where the Eagles could not. It's impossible. The game's over now. That never would have been called in the old days. The only thing I could think of that would be the Steelers-Seahawks Super Bowl in 2005. Other than that, I just don't know how you call that. At the very least, even if you just reacted to it, the head ref should pick up the flag. He should have been like, no. Okay? And if you wanted to call it the flag, at best, for the Chiefs, it should have been penalty on both teams, replay, third down. Why? Because the Eagles player was getting UFC takedown because he was getting to Patrick Mahomes, which is what caused Patrick Mahomes to throw the ball out of the back of the end zone. Go back and watch that play. Patrick wasn't going anywhere with that ball. He was about to get hit. PI on what? PI on what? The popcorn man? Was he the intended receiver? The guy selling beers and row 15? Is that the PI? I mean, were you calling this over here? Who cares? So at best, it should have been just a replay of the down. Okay, whatever. It's not about how many calls are called against a team. It's about when they're called. It's about the effect that they have. No call is equal to the other. A pass interference against you in the first quarter means nothing. A pass interference against you in the fourth quarter means everything. But at the end of the game, on the stat sheet, they can say, look, there's no fraud here. We penalized the team that won. We penalized them as many times as we penalized the other team. And everyone goes, okay, fine. It's like that movie where they wear the blindfold because you're not allowed to look at anything. It's just, okay, everyone's just like, okay, we're fine. We're fine. Bird Box. It's like Bird Box, right? It's all good. Looks good here. No fraud. Okay. And again, like, thank you, Tharn. The biggest problem here is that the NFL owns the refs. So you can't do that. Without an athletic commission running the refs, and this is all sports, we're not even going to begin to have legitimacy. And, well, let me take that back. We may have legitimacy to a certain extent, but the problem is that we're not aware of it. Okay? We will always have those doubts. So if you are legitimate, then you'd have no problem handing it over to an athletic commission that is ran in each state. So, for example, we have the Giants and the Cowboys playing tonight. So what refs would be, what team, where would they be from? The team would be from a state that does not have, that wouldn't be from New York or Texas, and they would be from a state that is not in a state of the Redskins or the Eagles. So there's no rivalry issue. In fact, in an NFC showdown, you may want to send an AFC state from a state. So you'd have each state of a football that has a football team would have their own set of referees. And they're sent there. That's really the best way you would do it. In all NFC matchups, you'd have an AFC team state send there, unless that's, from somewhere, or you would do the vice versa if it was AFC. I think that would work. I think nothing is perfect, guys. Nothing. Everything can be corrupted. But my God, them owning the refs, the refs are actually theirs, dude. There's absolutely no reason for them not to make things the way they want to make them in certain situations. So I have always maintained that this was possible. I'm not an idiot, okay? This is politics, man. This is business. Dude, people cheat at bingo. All right? I've had people cheat me at board games. I've had people play Monopoly and hide money, take money from the bank and hide it under the board. I've seriously had that happen. You don't think they're going to cheat when the result just is a much bigger outcome? And not even the NFL. Let's not even go there. Let's say the ref himself. You can't stop him from doing that. What if he's doing it? That's the problem. See? If a ref is corrupt himself, okay, nobody was telling him to do it. He was personally corrupt. He was personally investing. All right? The NFL is going to protect him. They're going to quietly fire him and send him away, and we'll never know that he was doing it. In an athletic commission, that's going to be a scandal. Everyone's going to know. And we're all going to understand what he did and what happened and what was the outcomes and how it affected it. So it makes it much more difficult. But these guys know at worst, the worst thing that's going to happen to them is you're just going to get fired. But the NFL is going to cover it up. They're going to help them. That's what they've been doing. We've seen tons of refs just disappear, fall off the face of the earth. Where'd they go? It's interesting. Hey, that guy was a pretty good rep. It seemed like, well, what happened to him? Oh, okay. Yeah. You have the greatest athletes on the planet. All you got to do is just let them play football. Just let them play. Let them play, and you're going to get extraordinary things. You're going to get amazing catches. You're going to get amazing, cool hits. You're going to get amazing, pressure kicks. You're going to get all kinds of cool stuff. Just let them play. No. Only the Patriots cheat. Y'all didn't know that? Only the Patriots cheat. And only the Patriots, the NFL tries to help. at the same time. So that's the interesting situation, right? Only the Patriots cheat, and then they get punished by the same NFL that also makes sure that they win. It's very strange. Very strange. You guys, in the entire history of this show, this is the 6th season of VAS Live. Entire history of this show, you've never heard me make excuses for any Patriots victory if there was something shady and weird going on. You've always heard me say that. I'll point it out. If it's legit, I'll be like, okay, what is this? What's happening here? It's like the Saints Rams game in 2018. Something's up with that. All right, something is wrong with that. Now, whether it was the league or the guy himself, and I've always maintained that it was the guy himself that didn't call it. But you have to be able to overcome those things when the league has it, and when it seems like they have it out for you for some reason. But, now it's really difficult to not see that the Chiefs are getting a bump from the Taylor Swift thing, and it's really hard not to see that. The one thing you could trust back in the day is that you could trust with your own eyes. What you could see is that if the league was wanting one team over the other so adamantly, they would have pushed the ones that they wanted. In the 80s, the 49ers and Joe Montana wasn't the right team, and wasn't the right quarterback to be the dominant base of the NFL. If they were wanting to rig things. That was Dan Marino and John Elway. They were the marketing ones. They were the ones that you would want to have all the Super Bowls. You would want Dan Marino. Dan Marino was, guys, in the 80s, Dan Marino was considered a very good-looking guy. The way they take photos of him and modeling stuff. And he was like the man. Okay, he was, the thing to do, right? Everyone thought he was awesome. Everyone loved Elway. Joe Montana was like a black sheep. It was just kind of like, who is this guy again? Where is it? He's Notre Dame. What round was he drafted in? It's not. That's not something that they would have wanted. You would have wanted the Dolphins. You would have wanted Don Shula and Dan Marino to have 3 or 4 rings in the 80s. You would want Elway. Elway would have won all of those Super Bowls, especially the one against Montana. And in the 90s, you don't let Jim Kelly's Buffalo Bills lose 4 straight. Okay? You don't. You give them one. You give them one somehow. You don't need to give the Redskins one. You don't need to give the Giants one. They both are coming off Super Bowls a few years before. And you don't need to give the Cowboys twice in a row. You can always give the Bills one. You see what I'm saying? The Cowboys would still have been as popular as always, even with, only if they had beaten the Steelers and the Bills once. They still would be popular. You don't let Brett Favre only win one time. Okay? You take the Brett Favre Packers and you run with that. All right? You absolutely run with it. 1 Super Bowl for Brett Favre's Packers. Only 2 appearances. Weird, right? Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning is the number 1 case. Peyton Manning is the number 1 case against that this wasn't happening back then. They love him. He is royalty. If NFL has a royal family, he's in it. And most of his career was choker. He can't do it. All the while, this kid from 6th round is sitting there just racking up rings under a coach that nobody likes. Okay? For a fan base that nobody likes. Okay? Trust me, the rest of the country hate Boston fans. They hate them. Absolutely hate them. You don't do that. Okay? You don't do that. You don't do those things if you're setting things up. But now, I haven't seen the Chiefs have to work for something. And I've not seen anything go against them egregiously that was going to cost them. That seems very weird to me. The only way you beat them is by blowing them out, so the refs can't make a difference. That was interesting. Ball just got popped out, and he caught it. His teammate caught it. I'll be right back, guys. I'm gonna grab me a new Coke, but there's something about Tom Brady I want to talk to you about. I didn't realize I was going to talk so long about this, but anyway. Okay, I'll be right back. Tyree, thank you very much. Okay. And by the way, guys, if you want to send a super chat, just click the link at the top of the comments section, on the YouTube comment section. It's pinned to the very top where it says super chat there. It's got a link to Rumble, and that's how you send a super chat. Okay. So let me show you guys this real quick. This is what I'm about to show you. Yeah, sorry, Papa Copy. Sorry I went so long there, but I was just trying to think of, how I see things going, and kind of want to just get off my chest because it's something that's been bothering me for a while. I didn't expect to talk so long about that, but okay. So let me show you this real quick. This is Baker Mayfield talking about Tom Brady's, how things were with Tampa Bay, and I've got some comments about this one. Okay, so here we go. I have to minimize that. Okay. 335. Here we go.
You to be, the building was a little bit different with Tom in there. Obviously, playing wise, Tom was different. He had everybody dialed in, high strung environment. So I think everybody was pretty stressed out. So for me, and everybody was expecting the Bucs to not be good last year. So they wanted me to come in, be myself, bring the joy back to football a little bit for guys that weren't having as much fun, and just continue to raise the competition level. So they just asked me to be myself, and as a player, you really can't ask for much more than that.
What's it like replacing Brady? I mean, I'm sure you've heard some crazy stories coming in right after him.
Yeah, you hear a lot of good stories. Obviously, they won a lot of games, but it's just different. We have very different personalities. So for me, I was just trying to be myself, not trying to wear his shoes or do any of that. And you can't do that. And like, he made it to the level he did by being himself and in his own way, and I think everybody else did as well. So you just gotta do it your own way.
Do you feel like you approached this year exactly the same as last year? Do you feel like there's, I mean, I think I heard you say that there was a little bit of a feeling out process at the beginning of camp and stuff last year, being with a new team and stuff. Do you
You hear some of the stories about if he didn't like a certain play call and he didn't like it throughout the week and they still called it in the game, there might have been a throwaway on purpose or thrown at the running back or receiver's feet. There's a lot of mind games going on.
prove a point that it wasn't the right call?
Yeah.
If you had a baseball player that would be a Baker Mayfield,
What y'all think about that? So, remember, Baker is never going to just flatly say what really is going on, but what he's saying, what he's meaning. This is what this means. The entire locker room of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when Baker arrived last year, was whining and complaining about Tom. The coach as well. Because Baker wouldn't have mentioned the thing about Tom changing plays or throwing the ball away for a stupid play if the coaching hadn't mentioned this to Baker. Now, we knew for a fact, we knew it last year or the year before with Todd Bowles, the worst head coach in the history of the NFL. Him and Tom were not seeing eye to eye. It was obvious. Okay? And it comes from Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians didn't like Tom that much. Tom didn't like Bruce that much. When he handed the team to Todd Bowles, who was not deserving of it, he basically told Todd, Brady's going to try to push you, and he's going to try to get away with things and do this, and you got to push back. You got to be able to not be like, oh, that's Tom Brady there. You got to, and I think that Bowles took that and tried to, and he applied it in the wrong way. He applied it in the areas that actually costed them games, like making the wrong decisions in the game, when the pushback should have been in practice, during the week, things like that. But pushback during the game, when the game is on the line and you're making stupid decisions just to spite Brady or just to show him that you know better, that makes you a fool, okay? That makes you a moron. And what this tells me is that all the players have been telling Baker how, man, you're so fun to play with. You're so easygoing. You're so cool. Tom, man, everything had to be perfect with Tom. We were all like, it was like the military, and he expected so much from us. Oh, wow. You guys know for a fact, I have always said that Mike Evans was a baby. I always said it. You vouch for me. Mike Evans was weak. He is weak-minded. Weak-minded. I knew that. I've always known that. And he's the one. He's the main one whining about this to Baker Mayfield. So Baker, you may be proud of yourself how much you're not like Tom Brady. I appreciate that. That's nice. But you're never doing anything. You're there are at least 6 teams right now better than the Bucs, and they're not gonna. And there's several that are just massively better. they're going nowhere, and it's just whatever. Okay. He wants to talk about last year. Nobody thought the Bucs were going to be any good. I didn't either. They still failed. But each team is different. Also, that also tells me is that Todd Bowles, you got to remember, in 2022, Todd Bowles gave Byron Leftwich control over the offense. Not Tom, Byron. And that created a frustrating environment for Brady. What in the hell is Byron Leftwich going to tell Tom Brady? Byron Leftwich, the same Byron that played for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah. Not, when Bruce was there, it went through Bruce. Bruce is a great offensive coordinator. But the moment Bruce is not there anymore, you saw that Byron had no idea what he was doing. The next year, after Brady's gone, they bring in Baker, and Todd Bowles brings in an actual coordinator that might know something about, coordinating offense. That's a big change. That's a massive change. Okay? I want you to remember this. In 2022, guys could not even run their routes. These guys had no idea where they were going. They would always run the route incorrectly. They gave up on plays. Everything was it was just ridiculous. Okay? That whole thing was screwed up. But I just find this interesting that what Baker said, because it tells us what, we already knew, but it's funny to see a quarterback sit there and talk about all the ways that he is not like Tom Brady. I don't think that's something you probably want to mention. I don't think that's something that you should be proud of or revealing. That's probably something that should have stayed private. Letting everybody know that you are not as disciplined as Tom. You are not as buttoned up as Tom. You are not as focused and serious as Tom. Yeah, that's not good. Okay? So whatever, Baker, hey, maybe it works out for them. I don't think it's going to, but whatever. So But 2022 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was the worst coaching job I've ever seen by anyone. And that I'm talking collectively, Todd Bowles and Byron Leftwich. That is the worst coaching job I've ever seen. Ever. To literally cost Tom Brady his only losing season. To not be setting records with those players. And it's just unbelievable how inept and bad they were. And I knew that Tom was throwing balls away. And I knew I didn't know why he was throwing those balls away. I wasn't quite sure. But he would cuss or yell or something after one of them. So I always thought it was just somebody ran the wrong route and he would just throw it away. But apparently, according to Baker, Tom was doing that anyway because the play call was stupid. So that part of it's on Tom, okay? He should have said, listen, I'm calling the plays now. You're out. If you don't like it, you can bench me for the rest of the year. Good luck with that. But, that's not Tom's character. He's always been about team. But in that situation, he has earned the right to do that. So that Super Bowl came to them in 2020, and the rest of the team, the remaining guys who won that Super Bowl on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they think it was all about them. They're sitting around going, well, we did it too, Well, okay, but how come you haven't done it again? You know, how come you didn't do it before? You had Jameis Winston, right? So if you're so great, you should have been able to make Jameis Winston, doing all that. So no, but they've got an ego. Even Bruce Arians had said that out loud, and so did Todd Bowles. In 2020, was it 2021 or 2022? Todd Bowles said in a press conference, a lot of the guys are still living off of the glory of the Super Bowl in 2020. So we knew that was happening. But it's on like epic, BDS scale right now, with Baker being there. So Baker is the new girlfriend or the new boyfriend. Let's say Baker's the new boyfriend, and the girl is telling him how bad the ex-boyfriend is, and exaggerating how bad he was. That's basically what Baker is. He's the new guy. Oh my God, yeah, the former guy made me clean the house, and he made me stay organized, and he made me make sure I paid the bills on time, and we kept everything in check, and we're disciplined and all this stuff. And I'm just so glad that I've got you now, Baker, so I can be sloppy and get fat and gross and not care about anything. And, yeah, he's the new guy, the guy that is supposed to be the savior for everyone and help everybody out. Tom was also going through a divorce that year, and he was fed up with these people. Fed up with them. Absolutely fed up with them. The Brady versus Montana video kind of got recirculated and kind of got back into the system. It does that every few months, about every 3 or 4 months it does that. And then that brings in like new comments, So it's funny judging the comments of the video based off of 2019 versus, 2022 or 2024 now, right? In 2019, there were no comments about Patrick Mahomes, okay? There were no comments about like it being a done deal, okay? Tom hadn't even won. He hadn't gone to Tampa Bay yet when I did that video. I think that video was done right at the time he won his 6th with New England. But the arguments were a bit different. And the people arguing for Montana, they were at least, Tom was a little closer to Montana than he is now. So those arguments were kind of fierce and a lot of punching back and forth, right? That's awesome, Papa Copia. Thank you. And now, and then like in 2021, 2022, the comments started to change. So when Tom got his 7th with Tampa Bay, all of a sudden the Montana fans they went a different tactic. Now Super Bowls weren't the measure of greatness. It was other stuff. It was, the era and all these different things. And they just changed their complete approach because now Tom has literally buried the argument. Well, here in 2024, it's different. I don't see very many Montana fans at all. And now I see nothing but Mahomes fans. And now they're trying to say that it should be Patrick versus Brady and, things like that. So I thought we might, just for fun, kind of look at some of these. All right. Sorry about that. Okay. So I'm going to read this again. So those numbers of this guy says those numbers of Brady's are skewed. Joe Montana played in a much tougher passing era in the latter 3/4 of his career. Brady had protection for him and a wide open passing game. Joe's wide receivers got popped way more. Plus, you couldn't breathe on Brady hard without drawing a penalty. Tom was badass, but I give the nod slightly to Joe Montana. So what we have here is we have a comment of someone who didn't watch the video. Or if he did watch the video, he got triggered and started commenting, or didn't remember or notice anything that I did in the video. So one of the problems with this comment is I specifically stayed away from bulk stats, which would, that was for the sake of Joe Montana. Okay. So one passing yard in 1980 is different than one passing yard in 2024. Okay. They're not equal. They have a different value. Okay. So what you have to do is you have to just equalize them somehow, which I've come up with a way to do that. But in this documentary, I didn't bother with that yet. I just said, okay, I'm going to show you what their side by side numbers look like, but we're not going to use them as a measure to weigh it. Okay. It's not a bad comment or anything. It's fine, but I'm just pointing out, like, it's interesting how some of these arguments have changed, because now he knows he can't argue anymore. Like, this comment years ago would have mentioned rings more, and things like that. It would have mentioned the 4-0 in Super Bowls for Montana and all that. But now it's kind of changed its nature here. Yes, the last 25% of Brady's career, I would say he had very good protection. Like the rules, that's I can't dispute that. That's absolutely true. Joe's wide receivers got popped way more. Well, here's the thing. So did the opponent. So whoever Joe was playing, his 49ers defense could do the same thing to the other quarterback. So whoever wins ends up coming out the same anyway. So that really wouldn't change much. Again, that argument would only matter if I was doing yards, side by side. When he says, plus you couldn't breathe on Brady hard without drawing a penalty, that is where the TDS comes out. BDS comes out. I've been having political arguments lately and using TDS, but BDS comes out when he says you can't breathe on him. When someone says it like that, you're dealing with someone is not really thinking from an analytical standpoint. And then the end is interesting. He says Tom is badass, but I give the nod to Joe Montana. Okay. You wouldn't see that before. Okay. You would not see and Tom was badass. That's new. That's a new feature. Then we've got, this is under the same video. Mahomes is the best ever. And I just responded, he's building a great career, but no. Okay. So it's fine. I'm not going to argue with that. There's no point in even getting involved. All right. So this is a response to my video, Could Brady Survive 1980s NFL? And this guy points out a part in that video where I said that Peyton got jacked up by the Legion of Boom. And he says Montana would have beaten those defenses. And I said, doubtful. The effect they had on Brady, Breeze, and Peyton would have applied back then to Montana, Marino, and Elway. I'm not really sure what he means by this. Montana would have beaten those defenses. I don't understand the point in saying this, because if you put Joe in and suddenly transported him to play the Seahawks, Joe's probably not going to know what the hell's going on. It's going to be, I mean, he's not going to be clueless or anything, but I mean, it's going to be very strange. It's going to be very strange. He's going to be seeing like looks and different formations and movements and things, and he's going to notice something real quick. Joe is going to notice, holy crap, I ain't got time to throw the ball anymore because these receivers, they get covered so fast. So I've got to get rid of it now. So I can't do my 3-step, 5-step, paint by numbers, dish it to the right guy. We're going to have to do something different. So I don't know if he means that. Now, Montana, after several years, would acclimate and probably figure it out. I mean, he's brilliant and great quarterback, right? So that's not a big deal. But I'm just saying I'm not understanding this guy's angle here. And so we got this guy. This is under the same video, by the way, that the Could Brady Survive 80s NFL? Would he be, he's at Candlestick. Oh, okay. So Candlestick Park is the name of the 49ers stadium back in those days. So this guy's, it's in his name, so we know we're dealing with a Montana fan here. Okay. So you'd say, would he be willing, or would he be winning Super Bowls at 39 or 41 or 43 or even 37 years old in the 1980s? I don't know. Probably not. But you tell me. Would Brady be as great of a passer if he came up in the 1980s? The passing game in the 1980s wasn't as evolved as it was in Brady's day. If you drop Brady as he was in his day into the 1980s, and he's probably almost too good for the game, adjust him to the game of the 1980s, and he's probably still very good, but not quite as dominant. That's an interesting comment. So it's a little confusing what he's going with there, but I said, if you want to do the time travel thing, putting someone out of their era stuck with the same knowledge of their own era, meaning that Tom Brady gets to go to 1982 and he gets to play with the knowledge that he has of the last 20 years of his career. If you do that, it would be massively unfair to Joe. So the farther back in time you put Brady, the more he will dominate. That's just a fact. Okay? That's the nature of this game and how it works. So you can't do that. What you have to do is you have to put them in a new era, and they only have knowledge of that era. So if we put Brady in 1982, Brady only has knowledge of that era then. That is how you would do that. But how do you measure that? And in that sense, all of these quarterbacks would essentially be the same. So, but with a career that fits their era. So, Tom would be dominating his era in 1980. But it would just be in 1980 form. And Tom would also be one of the biggest quarterbacks in the league. Okay. I said, in reality, all you can do is measure these quarterbacks based on how they performed against their peers on an even playing field. However, with some added or subtracted things that are indicative of the era. And what I mean by that is that it's not just simply against their peers. It's also other things have to take into account. For example, salary cap is a big thing. So one quarterback's dynasty can be created because there is no salary cap versus a quarterback who has to deal with turnover every single year. That can be used to balance out any discrepancies, like for the amount of times you're allowed to hit somebody or something like that, okay? Just for example. So those are the attributes that you can use, and you can mix and match with those. But for the most part, it's about how well you were against your own. As far as what he says about would Brady have Super Bowls at 39, 41, and 40, okay. So probably not. But keep in mind, Tom would have had the salary cap, or no salary cap. So Belichick and Brady's Patriots would have a stacked team every single year going on for God knows how long. So he wouldn't have needed to win at 39, 41, or 43 or whatever, like he's saying. Tom probably would have won them all at the same time. So that's kind of a weird way to look at it, but I don't know. What makes these quarterbacks who they are? Yes, era is just how we view them. That's just the style in that we view them. That's all that is. But what it really means, and yes, example, Sid Luckman was the most dominant quarterback of his era. Sid Luckman would have been a Hall of Famer probably in any era, barring any unforeseen weird stuff, like going to a horrible team. So in these scenarios, we can't do that. That's just silly, because if you do that, then no one is any good. You could do that to everyone. You could say Michael Jordan sucks or whatever. So, Michael Jordan is sent to 1970 to the Boston Celtics, but he broke his leg in the first year and never played again. Well, that's just dumb. We can't do that. We have to assume that if you're going to transfer the player to a different era, he's still got a similar team that he was a part of, similar situation. So Tom Brady in a similar situation in the 1980s still would have been Tom Brady. Sid Luckman, similar thing. He would have still been Sid Luckman in 1990, 2000. He'd be dominating right now as one of the greatest quarterbacks in the league. It's who they are. It's how they perform. It's how they think. It's how they improvise. All of that. It's in them. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. How do you think a Joe Montana goes from winning Super Bowls in the 80s, then at the end of his career goes to Kansas City and is all of a sudden the Chiefs are good? Now the Chiefs are good? You think that was an accident? You think that was going to happen anyway? You think... No. You think Steve Bono was going to come along and get him, to the AFC Championship game and beating Warren Moon's Oilers? No. That was Montana. And Montana was doing that in an era outside of what he was used to. Tom Brady, he went through 3 eras. He went through the brutal headhunting era of the 2000s. Then he went to the faster, more wide open passing game with more targets, and people just, it's yak all day long, where quarterbacks were just getting yards like crazy all of a sudden, and he dominated that too. And then we come into the Patrick Mahomes era where it's just flag football, essentially, for the quarterbacks. I can do that too. So while you young kids are out there, that's what you're used to in college. Yeah, I can do that too. It's who they are. It's in their DNA. Darn mentions Mickey Mantle here. Yeah, so if we imagine if you took Babe Ruth and gave him today's technology with the bats and the training and the health supplements, all of it. What would happen to Babe Ruth now? It would be insane. Okay? The guy was knocking the ball out of the park. And you know what his regiment was? You know what his routine was? Smoking cigarettes, chewing tobacco, and eating. Eating all the time. Just. His only workout was when he was moving his arms to lift the hamburger to put it in his mouth. And he was doing all that. No steroids, no supplements, no advanced working out, no nothing. These people are who they are. Yeah, and beer. Autogram would be dominating right now. That's just the way it is. See if we got any more of these. Oh, so this guy says Debo Stall. He says Mahomes has surpassed Montana. And I just said not yet. Here's some guys. This is bias in favor of Brady. I get these all the time. Yeah. Well, I'm a Steelers fan. I despise Tom Brady. I put fair enough. So the thing is, if Mahomes wins again this year, which he probably will, because there's no competition. There is no competitor. There's no heavy team that can do anything about it. There's no team led by a quarterback that can overcome not only beating the Chiefs, but overcoming I hate to say it, but the refereeing. So he'll probably get his third straight, and that's never been done before. And that at that point, I do have to reevaluate things. Unfortunately, I can't personally take those Super Bowls away, even though I don't think they're deserving. Well, two of them anyway. So, or for sure one of them, but definitely, yeah. I would say one of them I can take away with the Eagles, but that's personally I can do that, but you can't in general. So, but there's nobody anymore. The 49ers can't do it. They've proven that they can't overcome the situation. So 49ers are trying to win like in a Belichick style. They're trying to win with a quarterback who's not getting paid. And they're trying to save money with the quarterback and trying to win, with a game manager. Missing endangered adult. Emergency. They must have lost Joe Biden. They must have lost Joe Biden again because I'm getting that alert. Yeah. So the 49ers can't do it. They're trying to make Brock Purdy Tom Brady, basically. Trying to win on the cheap, thinking they could save money in the quarterback room, and it's not. Sorry, Kyle, but you're not Bill. Okay. And nobody is Brady, so it's not going to work. So because of this, 49ers fall short in every Super Bowl and every NFC Championship game because they don't have quarterback play. Now, I was hoping that the Bengals and Joe Burrow was going to make a nice rivalry. We're going to have like a Peyton Brady kind of thing going on. But that never manifested because the league won't let it manifest. Once again, the Chiefs got some favorable calls with the Falcons, and that was a bit suspect too. But until Kelsey and Taylor Swift's contract expires for them to break up, the Chiefs are going to just keep winning rings. So they're just going to collect them. Okay, so let me look at this week's games, and I'll tell you who's going to win. Okay, Saints at Falcons. Saints. Bengals at Panthers. Bengals. Rams at Bears. Rams. Vikings at Packers. Packers. Jaguars at Texans. Jaguars. Steelers at Colts. Actually, I think the Steelers' little cute run of theirs is over. I think the Colts actually are going to upset them. Broncos at Jets. Jets. Easily. Eagles at Buccaneers. The Eagles. Commander DC Criminals at Cardinals. Cardinals. Patriots at 49ers. 49ers. Chiefs at Chargers. I don't see the Chiefs losing any time. But if they're going to lose, if they were to lose, it would be this one here in LA. Let's have some fun. I'm going Chargers. Browns at Raiders. To be honest with you, Chiefs haven't looked that good. Okay? They've just been getting help. But they're not playing that well. Just like they weren't playing well last year. I still have no idea how they ended up being the Super Bowl champions. But Browns at Raiders. Browns. Bills at Ravens. Ravens. Titans at Dolphins. Titans. Seahawks at Lions. That's going to be a good one. I'm going Lions here. There you have it. I'm the oracle of all. So, all right, guys. Thank you for being with me. I've had fun. Sorry if no, I'm not sorry, but it's just expression. I ranted a little while about that, but we needed to talk about that because that was important. Yeah, Israel, the thing about Aaron Rodgers is he's in New York, right? So New York hasn't seen a good quarterback in a while. They kind of forgot what good quarterback play was. So this game looks pretty lame though. All right. Thank you guys so much. And I have my birthday party tomorrow. That's going to be fun. And again, we can't start the contest until you guys sign up. So that's on Patreon. We don't have enough to do the contest. So we need more of you guys to sign up if y'all want to do that. It's on patreon.com/Von Allen Sports. And don't forget to subscribe to my other channel called Von Allen's America. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you. And we'll talk soon.
Von Allen Sports. Fuck you. I'm subscribing. If you're not watching Von Allen Sports, fuck you.
This is the man with the most badass name in sports. The Pharaoh, the Egyptian god himself, Amon-Ra St. Brown. And on behalf of my man Von Allen, we want to thank you for your support. Let's fucking go.
Von Allen Sports.